All right. Hello and good evening, everybody. We are back. It is the Vet and the Tech. It's our new rebranded show. I know we're so used to hearing the Star Wars Midwest Fanatics, but we're looking to kind of rebrand and do some new things there, everybody. But it's good to be back. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian tonight. First, I want to welcome back. And it's good to be back on the show tonight, Travis.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but tons of Star Wars content has come out. Most notably, probably for everybody, the Mandalorian has returned. So lots to talk about.
Yep, lots to talk about. Before their TRG Toys and Collectibles. You can check out their website, which you can see down below here at trgtoys.com. Great things there from Star Wars to Marvel, you name it. Go check them out, trgtoys.com. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Bad Batch first. Get into that now. I have kind of a little where I've seen the first 14 episodes. So I'll kind of keep my mouth shut until we get caught up with that. But so far, and everybody who's been listening, I'd like to hear your guys' opinions too. Is what have you guys thought about the Bad Batch so far? And Travis, I'm anxious to hear what you think, and our viewers out there, I'm really anxious to hear what you think as well.
Yeah, for me, so I'm going to preface this with saying one of the things we always talk about is there's no such thing as like bad Star Wars content. So if I come down to seemingly critiquing the show or not liking it, that's not my intention, but I'm going to look at it through, I guess, kind of an objective lens. Um, After what season one was for the Bad Batch and kind of what it set up and where it left off with some cliffhangers, I'm a little disappointed that, at least so far from the episodes we've seen, hasn't really picked up that momentum and kind of run with it. It's like
Yeah,
season one got us to the 20-yard line, got us into the red zone, if I'm using a football analogy here, and then season two has just done a couple runs up the middle. Nothing really
yeah,
spectacular, nothing breathtaking. There's been a couple really cool episodes. The centric episode was interesting. It talked about how Cody was kind of doubting what the Empire was doing. The clone one, I can't remember the name of it, but the conspiracy one, with kind of how the Emperor used the clones and stuff to kind of actually get them phased out and get the bill passed for the stormtroopers. So there's been some really
yeah,
cool little nuggets of lore and kind of Star Wars history, but so much have just been little adventure side quest here for trying to remember the lady's name that runs the bar where they stay. I can't remember her name now, but it's been a lot of that and not. I don't see the payoff yet. It almost feels like
yeah.
the entire
It's
season is kind of like a filler season, and I don't know what the purpose is.
yeah, it's interesting. We've got the whole the stormtrooper phasing out, or I'm sorry, the clone troopers phasing out, which is kind of cool and was really neat with that. But other than that, there's a couple dark, and emotional points during this season, but at the same time, it just hasn't really grabbed a hold of me like I was hoping. I was hoping we are gonna get some more like action and things like that. It's definitely it's interesting, but it definitely hasn't, I thought, lived up to the hype that it could. Especially after the clone. I think we just got spoiled with the Clone Wars and Rebels. I think is one of the things that really kind of got us there. So,
Well,
um,
even Tales of the Jedi. I mean, if you think about everything animated from season 7 of the Clone Wars, Bad Batch season 1, Tales of the Jedi. I mean, it's just been like win, 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 and now it's kind of hit a little bit of a lull, and hopefully
yeah,
maybe the last couple episodes pick things up a little bit and really kind of brings it all together with what they're doing. But right now, it just seems too much like just random little adventures for them to go on and kind of stay entertained.
yeah. So hopefully we'll get some. The last couple episodes that I haven't. They didn't give us those for so did not get a chance to see those. So I'm anxious to see kind of where the last two episodes are going to take us. I will say the one thing I'm really disappointed about, and I'll say this going through here, is so far that there's been no mention of Boba Fett. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a huge Boba Fett fan. I'm saying it because it was such a big part of, kind of like that highlight, like, oh, she's the, pretty much the sister of Boba Fett. We had the Alpha and the Mega. Like they made sure that there, and then it kind of just, who cares? It's gone. So That was it's kind of shocking. I really thought we were going to see him at least in this season. Um, so I mean, there's still 2 episodes. I don't know yet. I'm not going to guys tell you what's going on, but who knows what we'll see when we get to the end. But from there, it's just the Bad Batch so far hasn't really grabbed me like Rebels and the Clone Wars has. So
Mhm.
we'll just see from there. So let's get into the fun stuff. Obviously, we got the Mandalorian, which started back up, which I know a lot of us is excited about. You got good old Mando back, Bo-Katan, of course, Baby Yoda. Yes, I still call him Baby Yoda, so deal with it, everybody. And a lot of things there. So let's kind of dig. So it was kind of surprising. Um, what really shocked me was bad bad baby. So that's always pretty funny too. Um, but what really shocked me was just the runtime on this episode. When you're looking at 30, like was it? I think it was like 32 or 35 minutes.
Mhm.
But then that also includes like the the post credits, the pre credits, and all that stuff. And then when you're done, you really had a very short episode. So were you kind of surprised about the length of this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was expecting there to maybe introduce more or run for a longer time period. I guess looking back on it now, when I first saw the runtime get released before I actually watched the episode, I was like, oh man, that seems pretty short.
Yeah,
I myself kind of leading up to season three coming out, essentially binge watched my way through season one, season two, Book of Boba Fett, and those episodes actually were noticeably longer in a lot of cases than this particular episode was. And then we'll get into some of the content and what happened storyline wise in the episode. But I guess looking back, it makes sense what they were trying to do. If it was any longer, I don't think they would have had enough. If they would have done a little bit more,
yeah,
they've almost had to have done like another 20 minutes because they were kind of in that point where like, okay, we've introduced everything I want to introduce. There's nothing more to really do. Leave everything for next episode. Hopefully they're not all this short though, because I do like
yeah.
I like at least 30 minutes of solid content, not counting the credits and the previously on stuff.
Yeah, it was just to me it felt like the episode was a little rushed. They kind of threw a lot in there in a short time, which I understand obviously if you're trying to set the pace for everything. But it definitely was one of those ones where I really thought the first episode was really going to be kind of the knock it out of the ballpark, kind of like one of the longer ones, and then at the end was going to be a longer one.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing it for a reason, so we'll figure out this Wednesday when they go into episode two. But so let's get into this episode a little bit. So, I think it's pretty awesome. We go back, we see, Grief Karga, and but what's really interesting, and I'm gonna put it out here, and I know this is gonna be controversial, and everybody's gonna go, oh, yeah, all that fun stuff. But were you surprised how quick and what they did with Cara Dune? I mean, to me, I was kind of shocked of how they kind of did it, but at the same point, I knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get into that after I hear your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you knew they were going to say something about it. They had to do so. I mean, the rationale they gave totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Like he was there when Gideon got captured. She could have been in charge of turning him over. The whole special forces thing. It makes sense. From a character, not the actress perspective, from the character of Cara Dune perspective, I'm glad that she's still alive. They didn't kill her off screen, so that leaves the potential for whether it's books, comics, maybe live action again someday. Who knows what the world has in store? But the character's still out there. They didn't kill her off. I don't know if they could have done more without making it too much of a like now this is the part where we're going to explain what happened to Cara Dune and kind of make too much of a deal of it. I guess I'm trying to think in real life world scenario like, oh, somebody used to work here, now they're gone. Oh, here's kind of what happened. I can't think of any better way really to have approached it. I think the way they did it was about as good as I could have come up with, probably without making it too big of a situation.
yeah, and what's interesting is I saw a lot of articles out there, and oh, she's been written off now, and no, she's not written off. So people just be prepared, because they did leave it open. She could make a return. Maybe she'll, her and the, little Mickey Mouse will sit down and work their differences out and stuff. but at the same time, Cara Dune is still was a big part of much people don't want to admit it. She was a big part of those first 2 seasons. So we definitely got to keep, we know what's going to happen. Are they going to recast her? Is she going to come back sometime? Is this the last season of The Mandalorian? So that'll be interesting. We'll get into that, as the season goes on, and if there's, little tidbits here and there. But so then, obviously we're there, and I kind of think Grief Karga's up to something. He's got that, I already have that like little like my spidey sense going off on that, obviously with the pirates and things like that, because he was kind of a little uneasy around Mando. But between that and then also trying to bring back IG-11, I don't know everyone's thoughts on that, because that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Hey, let's take the statue down and and try to fix some of the stuff. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Everybody else, I want to hear too what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I remember seeing in the background last season the IG-11 statue, and that was kind of just a little Easter egg sort of a thing. I think at the time they didn't really acknowledge it. I just assumed it was actually like an actual statue, not IG-11 parts that they somehow salvaged and created a statue with. I mean, it's a good breadcrumb, I guess, of here's an adventure for Mando to go on to find an IG-11 chip or whatever is needed to kind of bring him back to life and reprogram him with the little Babu Frick guys and whatnot. But yeah, it definitely caught me off guard that, hey, that was his big plan, was I need that specific IG-11 droid to be my buddy and go to Mandalore and help me out here.
And real quick, I want to say, hey, Michael Torres, thanks for watching. Thanks for noticing the awesome statue in the background. And also, Nikki, I want to say, hey, thank you for all your comments as well. We want to know what you think on this too. Obviously, we're talking Mandalorian season 3, episode 1. But yeah, the IG-11, I kind of figured that once they rebooted him, he was going to go back to factory settings. I mean, that's just like anything when you pull the batteries out, and, they're out too long, it's going to reset. So I thought that was kind of interesting how Mando wanted him, even after he went back to the factory setting, especially with, the child. It's I'm excited because I kind of liked him as a droid. So
yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of strange and sort of out there as it sounds to try to bring him back to life. I don't hate it just because I did like the IG-11 character. I thought it was kind of a fun character, and that could be part of sort of the driving force behind it too. Like, if Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Rick are sitting around as producers and showrunners, like, oh, IG-11, this is a really cool character. Let's figure out a way to bring him back. Oh, what if the statue is made from him? We can reprogram him somehow with, so that's probably part of it. Everybody really liked the character from a fan perspective. So.
And Nikki, I had to laugh at that message with the pretty morbid makeup. It is just a lot of I just can't wait to see where this is going, because we're getting really excited into things. Because obviously, guess what, people? There's a side quest getting ready to come up, so we know that we're already going to go off venture for a little bit, because now we're looking for that chip or whatever for IG-11. But here's the other thing too. Obviously, we got the child back, and here comes everybody at me when I'm getting ready to say this. And yes, I know it's for kids. I know that they're doing this, and obviously it's the cash grab for Disney. But I just hope they don't keep trying to make it cute. I don't know if that's the right word I'm trying to say it, because I still want to see, when I hear the word Mandalorian, I still want to see, fighting, war, that kind of stuff. I don't need to see, the child every episode spinning around the chair, getting his little candy, hugging little Babu Frick, and everything like that. It's fine. Okay, I've come to terms with him, everybody. Yes, Nikki, I have come to terms with him. But it's at one point we need to see the kick butt Mandalorian stuff and really get going there, which I think it's heading that way. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Obviously, we wanted to start that off, and get him his little airtime and stuff. But what are all your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think definitely the action's going to pick up as we go. I happened to actually go back and watch the season 3 trailer for The Mandalorian. I was kind of going through and looking at some of the scenes and clips. And I mean, a lot of the scenes and clips that are in the trailer, not many of them, if hardly, except maybe that Grief Karga, like kind of walking down the street, none of them I don't think really came from episode 1. So it seems like there's still quite a bit of action, like that really cool scene I think we talked about when we kind of broke down the trailer those like Mandalorians sort of jumping out of that like drop ship and like jet packing down into it. Maybe it looks like Navarro or something, and blasters and stuff. So I do think there will be a lot of more adult centric violence and the blasters and the fighting and Mandalorians kicking ass and stuff out there. So, but every episode probably will have some sort of memeable Baby Yoda moment that just seems like part of what we have in today's Star Wars world. But Grogu was there. He didn't seem to be a huge focus, which I guess is good. He was kind of just in the background doing his little things, but the focus was still kind of on Din Djarin, his quest, what he's after. So, which is good.
Yeah, and then and obviously we get the space, pirates and the battle scene there, which obviously I got a strange feeling this is going to be one of Mando's nemesis throughout the rest of the season, because obviously there was a reason why we're focusing on these pirates, which obviously someone commented, I think it was Nikki earlier in the comments, Hondo, it'd be awesome to see him back in this. But the one thing I want to talk about before we get any further, and I can't believe it completely slipped my mind, is the very beginning, when they take off into hyperspace, you get our little whale friends back, and a huge Rebels, obviously, shout out. And I'm sorry if you guys haven't seen it. You all have plenty of time. We're talking about it if you're watching. But huge Rebels shout out there, which I love because I'm a huge Rebels fan, obviously. And I'm starting to think, okay, what I'm seeing here is there's a reason why, the child or Grogu, whatever you want to call him, was sitting there just staring at it for a while. Obviously, he was mesmerized by it, but he could have been obviously, we know he could talk to the creatures. He talked to the Rancor and stuff like that. So is this kind of our foreshadowing for Thrawn and Ezra? And he's, locate them. So I think that's kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay. I wasn't expecting that kind of to show up in the live action, because when you think about it, it's easy to do an animated cartoon style, these space force sensitive whale creature things, having them show up in live action for kind of the more potentially casual Star Wars fan to see and wonder what the heck are those. I'll be very curious to find out if they actually have any purpose to play in this season of The Mandalorian, if they're ever referenced again, or if it was simply a little Easter egg thrown in there now. So when the Ahsoka series comes out in the future and they mention them, people that look back and be like, oh, and kind of connect the dots. I'm kind of leaning more to that little Easter egg for now that'll pay off probably in the Ahsoka series, because I don't know how you could really explain the Ezra Thrawn being lost without the introduction of the space whales, because they're directly kind of responsible for them being lost somewhere out there in the galaxy. So I think you have to kind of introduce them, and this little tidbit was probably the cleanest way to do without all of a sudden whales in space.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's, to me, that's going to be our kind of indicator of where this is going. And obviously all the Star Wars stuff is kind of merging together. We're really noticing that obviously with Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, we're getting all into that, mesh of everything. So I would not be surprised if we don't get our first look at live action Ezra and Thrawn during this season. But also let's talk a little bit about the armor. Talk about a jerk. Let's really dive into that a little bit. So she is pretty much like, Mando, hey, you saved our life, but I don't care. You're not a Mandalorian. Meth crocodile, got or I'm sorry, cocaine croc. That's what I call it. So you have the meth bear, and you got the cocaine bear, and then you got cocaine crocodile. Just was unreal how it just kind of was sitting there eating up Mandalorians left and right. But it was kind of interesting how they were showing that, how they were they're obviously adding to their clan. But obviously we're jumping around a little bit. But were you pretty shocked how she pretty much still had no emotion towards him after that, and how she kind of was like, okay, he found the loophole, he's going to go try it, so I guess we'll welcome him in if this is the way,
Right. Yeah. The armorer, as time goes on, especially after they introduced Bo-Katan and their group, and they said, "Oh," when they first met Mando, and they're like, "Oh, you're one of those. You're a child of the Watch.
Yeah.
You're kind of a offshoot, the zealots and kind of crazies of the Mandalorians." And I guess now as time goes on, you're like, you know what? I kind of agree. These people are way too strict, way too rigid in their interpretation of these things. But yeah, I mean, hey, thanks for saving us. You have the dark saber. I guess having the dark saber does not override the you took your helmet off rule. You would think if you're the king of Mandalore with your dark saber, you could basically make the rules, but I
Yep.
guess not. But yeah, no, I mean it was a good scene. You know, all the Mandalorians. I guess I don't know how much time has passed between end of season 2 and the Book of Boba Fett to now. It seems like there's a decent amount of time because last time we saw them, they were on the weird Elysium ring planet, and
Yeah.
now they're on some other planet. And they've got 15, 20 Mandalorians kind of all rounded back up. And I don't know if you were the same way. I thought at first when they were doing the ceremony that was a flashback
So I
to
did too. I was like,
Din
no.
to Din Djarin. I'm sitting there watching. I was like, oh, this is how he first got his thing. Because they're gonna be like him putting his helmet on and taking the oath and making such a big deal about him taking it off. Blah blah blah. And then Mando shows up, and I was like, oh nope, I guess not. This is real time. This is right now.
Well, what I think is interesting is how this, the Children of the Watch and all this group does not. It's like they really don't, like, they kind of know how important the dark saber is. In the same way, if we remember, like in the Clone Wars, when that dark saber was shown, everybody was like, "Oh, Sabine has the dark saber. Oh, this is it. This is who's going to rule Mandalore." And it was
Mm-hmm.
like a big thing. And then now it's kind of like, whatever for them. But then we got Bo-Katan, which we saw this earlier, and very interesting. Is it? And I completely just lost it now. Is it Night Owls? The Night Owls? Is that their clan? If whoever's
Oh,
watching,
yeah, yep,
let me
yep. She
know
was
if
in
I was
Night
right
Owls.
or
Yep.
wrong on that. They left her. She's sitting there with that whole "I don't give a what" attitude. Um, and Mando was like ready to join their clan. But I just don't think, obviously, she wants nothing to do with him because he has the dark saber.
Mm-hmm.
And so, are we just going to see, and everybody out there? I want to know what do we think this direction is going with Bo-Katan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so I know from watching the trailer, this is not the last we see of her. Um, Now, whether or not she becomes reluctant ally, complete foe to Din Djarin, or somewhere in between, I guess is kind of TBD. I mean, I can't see them taking a character that's kind of popular with the fans and sort of well loved and stuff, and just turning her complete. To use a wrestling term, having her turn complete heel and become like the bad guy to
Yeah.
Mando and Grogu and stuff. So I think somewhere along the lines she'll, I don't know, get the stick out of her ass about this whole thing and maybe become an ally and maybe kind of help Din Djarin see that, hey, the Children of the Watch group that he was part of is actually not what's best for Mandalore potentially, and maybe there's some sort of conflict between those two factions.
Yeah, and that's what I'm liking about what we're kind of seeing here, because this is what I'm really hoping that we're getting to. Because obviously, you have the armor in their little group. Obviously, Bo-Katan's people kind of bailed on her. So here's Mando. Is he going to be building? He's obviously going to be. He's building a clan. He's got a clan of 2 right now. Is he going to bring Bo-Katan in, and is she going to turn kind of Sith on him and try to kill him to get the dark saber or defeat him? But then we also know Boba Fett's still out there, and obviously during the at the end of their 80s style montage that they were ending at the end of the Book of Boba Fett, he kind of said he's tired of being the Don and wants to go on to, back to his old ways. So hopefully, maybe are we going to see that reunion and that kind of clan building up? I just want, like I said, I just want to see the straight up battle again to take control of Mandalore, because obviously, we're heading there. We're going to get sidetracked by a side quest. It looks like, at least a little bit before we get there. But I that's what I want to see. I want to see, let's kind of focus on the Mandalorians, since it's called the
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian, and let's let's see him go at it. Let's see it go. What do you? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Everybody else, I want to know what you think too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely setting that up. There'll be the build up throughout the season, and then I think it'll culminate in some sort of showdown, whether it's this season, next season. But yeah, you're going to end up with groups of Mandalorians that have different perspectives on who should be in charge, how they should live, they should resettle the planet, or who things of that nature. So yeah, I mean it's definitely gearing up that way. I'll be disappointed, I guess, if there's not sort of a Mando versus Mando kind of battle out there. It does seem to be kind of leaning that direction.
So yeah, it'll be a definitely interesting thing. But the question is, where does all this go? Because obviously, you got your last, and I don't want to open up a can of worms here, people. So we won't talk about the sequels. But obviously, because none of these people really showed up during the sequels. I mean, we obviously seen some ships, but it wasn't the Razor Crest unless he got a new one where everyone thought that was Mando's ship because that one's still in pieces. So we obviously have a lot of stuff going on there, and they really give us, and I'm going to say this now, I'm getting tired of waiting. Who the heck saved Grogu? All right, let's just get it over with. Let's find out who it was. It's just, let's get done. Who saved this little guy? Because obviously, he's a big part of this whole show. Obviously they need his blood to make little clone Palpatines. So who saved him, and why is he so important? Obviously we know why he's important. I answered that question, but damn it, Disney, just tell us next episode, please. Let's just get it done. I want to know. I mean, what do you guys think? Are you tired of waiting?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have been hinting at it, teasing at it for a while now. The kind of memory unlock that we had last season, we were like, oh, we're going to finally find out. And it's like, nope. And then even in the trailer for this season, they show like a Clone Wars style clips. It's like, oh, maybe it's going to happen now. I think it'd be the funniest like troll move in the world if it was just some random Jedi, like nobody we've ever seen before. It's not Mace Windu. It's not Cody. It's not Rex. It's not R2. It's nobody that you've ever seen before. It's just some random Jedi.
Jedi Master Bob is the one that saved him.
And then he it's just somebody we don't care about. But we'll see. I'm sure it'll be tied back somehow to somebody of some importance, because that's just the way these things all work, and it's been kind of kept a secret for so long that it's got to be a big reveal. Otherwise, that's gonna be such a letdown for people.
And that one, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if it was Mace Windu. Somehow he fell out.
Dude, that guy is splattered all over.
No,
stop it!
Come on,
stop it!
Look at Anakin. He got his arms chopped. I mean, everybody gets their arms chopped off in Star Wars.
I know, but he also got force lightning on his way out the door. Yeah. So I don't know.
Maybe he looks like Palpatine now. I mean, you never know.
Since Darth Maul did survive getting cut in half and falling down a ventilation shaft, I guess anything's possible.
Yes, don't rule it out, because we know it can happen. Like, Darth Maul is a huge one on that one. And look at the role he had in the Clone Wars when that came up.
Maybe it's Gunji from Bad Batch. They revealed that he's still alive. Little Wookiee Padawan.
Yeah. So there we go. We got Mando getting ready to take off, and obviously look for that chip before he goes to Mandalore. I'm anxious to see. I'm very excited to see Mandalore in live action. Mm-hmm. Obviously we've seen how cool it looks in the Clone Wars. I'm anxious to see how they turn this, this amazing planet. Obviously it's been decimated by the Empire, but at the same time, it'll be pretty neat to see where they go and how they do this, and how much stuff's going to be familiar to us. Are we going to see the throne, like where Maul and Ahsoka battle, where he went through the window? Is that char still going to be there? There's obviously a lot of stuff that we could see, in this one. But I mean, I don't know, like what are you most excited for now that we kind of got the door open and we know where things are going here? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious about the whole IG-11 thing, just because I do like the character. So I'm glad to see him coming back. I think probably for me, the Mandalore planet visit's going to be really awesome to see. Like you said, I'm sure when they do get there, there's going to be tons of little Easter eggs for Clone Wars animated series fans. Be like, oh, that's where such and such happened. So that'd be
Yeah.
really neat to see. I'm sure they'll dig into that quite a bit. I think for me, though, it's going to be just the full Mandalorian action. I'm kind of
Yeah.
really anxious to see. One of my favorite episodes of the first two seasons, I think, was Chapter 3, The Sin, or whatever it was called,
Mhm.
when Mando's trying to escape Navarro with Grogu, and then all those Mandalorians start showing up. They're jetpacking around. It's just like,
Yeah.
wow, this is really cool. I want more of this. And there really wasn't much more of like that type of action and combat in the first two seasons. But hey, now based on the trailer, based on what we're seeing with the Watch having 15, 20 plus Mandalorians and actively recruiting new foundlings and bringing them on board, so it's like they're building
Yeah.
up factions of Mandalorians. So I think seeing that's going to be one of the most things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and that's to me that's what I was expected from the first season, and we had this when we had Mark Anthony Austin on our show that one night. We talked about this how we expected the Book of Boba Fett to be like the Mandalorian, and it completely kind of went opposite of what we thought it was going to be. And I'm just hoping that we're really going to start seeing it go into this. It could be leaning into a big Mandalorian movie. Who knows? We have no clue yet what's going on. Supposedly, it's going to get announced at Celebration, so that'll be interesting to see. But we just don't know what movies are coming up, what's going to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Bo-Katan, there's just something like it's like I see where this goes because she has that attitude now where I don't even care. You got the
Well,
dark
yeah, they
saber,
had her.
you go lead.
Yeah, they had her. They had her in that kind of classic, almost like bad guy, don't give an f pose with like the one leg kicked up a little bit. So it's like who hangs out on their throne by themselves with no people around sitting like that unless you're, I guess, you're up to kind of prove a point.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Um, and I mean, who knows where we're going to go? Obviously, we're very young into the season, so Wednesday
Yeah, I
night
mean
we'll
that's the
get some
that's the
more.
thing is yeah we're only what 20, like we talked about at the beginning, about 25 minutes worth of content into this particular season. So who knows? It could be going all sorts of directions. I'm going to be curious too. I mean, I know again based on the trailer, there's a visit back to Tatooine at some point because Pelimado shows up in the trailer. Does that mean we're going to see some of the Tatooine, crew, whether it's Finnick and Boba?
Yeah,
Um, my guy Cobb Vanth from the end of both. So like, are there going to be other characters? I'm sure there will be because that's kind of one of the things that this show's been, I guess, known to do is go back to planets, go back and visit people that we've
yeah.
introduced in the previous seasons, which I'm all for. I've liked all the characters they've brought along, so I'm excited for
Well,
that too.
well, I mean, Cobb Vanth, he's obviously right now a big prune because he's been in that back to tank
He's
forever
in the
now.
he's in the back to
Um,
tank. Hope maybe he's having flashbacks. Apparently, the back to tank causes flashbacks while you're
no
in
more flash,
there, and
please. Star Wars, no more flashbacks. I'm done with that.
we're gonna get at least one more Grogu flashback to
Yeah,
find out
so
who
we
saved
finally
him,
figure out
and
who saved him, but
after that we can get rid of him.
yeah, it'll be. I can't wait for this. Obviously, Mandalorian has been great. We've had some good series. Obi-Wan I thought was good. Andor and it was good, but it wasn't my type of Star Wars. There's a lot out there. But yeah, and here's one too that'll be, Sabine.
Yeah.
We know that she's still out there. We know that Zeb's still out there, Chopper's still out there. Hera's still out there. So we got, a lot of characters that can make an appearance here, and I got a feeling they will, because obviously, season 2 we had the whole reference with Ahsoka. Looking where's Thrawn. So I really think that we're still going to get some more in there because obviously we brought Ahsoka back with Luke, so we know that
Mm.
they were meeting before Luke did his, made his Jedi Academy. So a lot of stuff coming up here, but Sabine, Ezra, I really think we're going to see a lot of. I just really think that they really set that Rebels reference up with our good old flying whale buddies
Mm-hmm.
on there. So yes, that's what I'm thinking. We're going to. I think we're going to be Rebels heavy this season, plus with a lot of Mandalorians, because we know how much the Mandalorians helped the Rebels, and those guys were, close then, with Sabine and her family. So I don't know. I just think we'll see a lot of Rebels. I mean, what else do you guys think? Do you guys think we'll see? Everybody's still listening. Are we going to see a lot of Rebels references, or do you think we're going to kind of see a lot of new stuff? I don't know. What about you, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, I think, man, again, I'm just trying to think like without diluting the main story of Din Djarin, his sort of redemption arc for going to Mandalore and doing all those things. I hope if there are references and introduction of Rebels characters and things that it doesn't become too much of a focus, because I'm really curious again about the sort of Mandalorian sort of strife and conflict between the factions and things really being the main focus of this season.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be some introduction of some Rebels characters, but I don't think it's going to be a huge like heavy portion of the storyline.
Yeah. I think this season is gonna my guess and my Vegas betting is gonna be we're leading into obviously, Ahsoka and everything else, but I think we're leading into something big that's going to be announced at Celebration. I really think we're going to see, something where we're going to get a movie to kind of tie all the loose ends together from all this and kind of going from there. That's what I'm hoping to see. But obviously we'll see when Celebration hits and then kind of go.
Yeah, I guess, and I have to go back to my calendar, but I mean, based on the timing of the episodes, does Mandalorian finish its run completely before Celebration, or is it overlap at all? I'm trying to think when.
I think it overlaps. So
let's see. So, do a quick Google search. Celebration 2023. What May? No, that's last time.
Yeah.
What dates is that?
So, but yeah, it's
7th through 10th.
And the rumors are out there that we are going to get a movie announced during Celebration. But the one thing's interesting for those that are hoping to watch some of the stuff, I did see, and I'm looking to actually get confirmation on this, that a lot of the stuff will not be streamed this year like it has been in the past. So I thought that was kind of interesting when I saw that. I did see that in one of the Celebration groups, but I did not see where the source was from that.
Well, that's not too. I guess that's not too different than what last year was really at Celebration. Not a lot of that was streamed either. A lot of those you had to be in the particular panel in the particular session for whatever reason. They seem to really be. I don't know. I don't know if it's like put a premium on buying the ticket and coming out to Disney properties and spending the money versus streaming it online or whatever.
Yep. So it'll be anxious. I'll be anxious to see what comes out of this Celebration. It stinks that I won't be attending, or you won't be attending either this year. But we got a whole year to save everybody, because it looks like 2025 will be the next Celebration, at least according to that article on StarWars.com. I don't know if they messed up or accidentally leaked it, but I thought it was kind of
wondering, because that was a very odd way to announce it. Whereas they made a big deal to announce it during Celebration last year when the next one was going to be, and this one was just like, top 5 reasons to go to Celebration, like opinion piece article on the Star Wars website.
So yeah, it'll be good. I can't wait to see, again, where we're heading to with this. Obviously, we're going to be getting a lot of collectibles, and we'll talk about that as the season goes on as well. And we'll be back kind of like in our regular format and kind of going over all the Star Wars news, because now we're starting to roll into that. And we'll have a lot to talk about when Star Wars Celebration hits. And I can't wait to see what we get out of there. So hopefully some new series, some new movies. For some of you guys, maybe Rian Johnson will finally get his trilogy. We'll see from there.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff still. I mean, we've got more information about Jude Law's Skeleton Crew. I'm sure there'll be tons of Ahsoka stuff. Maybe a Tales of the Jedi season 2. Book of Boba Fett, where's that going? Is Boba Fett going to be a season 2? I mean, there's definitely a lot of open things they haven't answered or unveiled yet. And I'm sure that's because they're saving it for early April there at the Celebration.
Yeah, hopefully if they do a Fett season 2, they fix what they did with season 1. It just, I don't know. I still hurting from that. As a Fett fan, definitely kind of killed me on that. But again, everybody, I want to thank you all tonight for watching our show. We're glad to be back. We'll be back again, each week, talking about the Mandalorian and everything else. It's exciting we're in a good time right now. We're getting a lot of Star Wars content, a lot of great stuff out there. a lot of great collectibles. And obviously I got to pop this one up. You know, I don't know, man. We might see these guys again. So who knows? We'll see those little Vespas.
Yeah.
Around.
So here's real quick. So again, I binge watched season 1, season 2, Book of Boba Fett with my girlfriend to kind of lead up to season 3 to get her sort of caught up. And that was one of the things that even stuck out to her is not a hardcore Star Wars fan. She goes, "What are those?" And she's like, "They don't make sense." And I'm like, exactly. Nobody knows why they're here. They're just random space Vespas, but yeah. So
that one threw me off completely.
Yeah,
but
those went over like a lead balloon, I think. So whoever's concept that was needs to go back to the drawing board. No more of those in season 2 of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. So can't wait to see you guys all again. We'll be back next week. Like I said, talking episode 2. We'll give you a little bit of time so we don't spoil too much, but we obviously want to talk about it and then kind of go from there. So again, obviously, thank you for watching. Obviously, we kind of rebranded our show again, The Vet and the Tech. If you guys obviously don't know the background of us, obviously I'm a veteran Army vet, and you know, got Travis over here, the IT tech, which you could tell earlier when his microphone or something went crazy and he was just being a ventriloquist with someone on there.
The tech guys always have the most actual technical issues. They kind of just follow us like little gremlins. So
so until next week, everybody, it's great to see you all. Great to be back. Love that you guys been interactive, a lot of questions. Let us also know too what you want to see from us and what questions you have from us. We like to bring more content, even bring some of you guys onto the show with us and have a little chat and see where we're going with things. So until next week, everybody be safe. And again, you can follow us at the hashtag show, obviously at NerdyVet574 for me. Indiana, always do this. There we go. Indiana Sloan for Travis. You can follow us both at the hashtag show.com. Thank you, TRG Toys and Collectibles, for making the show possible for us. Remember, trgtoys.com. And until next week, everybody, be safe and may the force be with you.